Alright, welcome back to my channel. So today what I want to do is show you my process of looking for new places to fish. Specifically, I'm talking about trout fishing, generally speaking in the driftless region, but this method can be used across the state of Wisconsin. And so I'm just going to walk you through an example of how I go about searching for public access to trout streams. If anything in this video is confusing to you, you want to learn more about it, go down in the comments and let me know, and either I'll answer it in the comments, or if there's enough comments or a big enough question, maybe I'll just make another video altogether. So what you're going to want to do is open up two tabs in your browser. In the first tab, I just started in Google for example's sake. You're going to want to search for Wisconsin Public Lands Mapping Tool. Okay, so it's going to be this first thing that pops up: Public Access Lands Mapping Application, Wisconsin DNR. It's on the DNR website. You could probably go to the website and in this search box, search the mapping tool. So coming down here, I'm going to launch the application, and while that's launching, I'm going to go to Google again in the second tab, and I'm just going to go to Google Maps because that's going to be the second thing we use to verify our fishing spots. So I'm signed out of my Google account right now, just so a bunch of pings and fishing spots don't pop up, to show you how I would do this from scratch. Okay, so that's in reserve. Of course, this isn't responding. Here we go. It can be a little slow, especially if you're running programs in the background, just because this map has so much information integrated into it. All right, so in this application, what you're going to want to do is go to Layers in the bottom left here and make sure that the proper things are checked. So you want to make sure, and I think they are default checked to be showing on the map, but you want trout waters for sure. That'll map out your designated trout waters. And then you want your easements, open public land. I think that might be all you really need. So those things are checked. I'm just going to close this so I have a little more to work with. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in on kind of a random part of the state. Just to give you an idea of where a lot of the trout fishing is done in Wisconsin, is in the driftless region. So that's approximately from this portion of the state here that I'm outlining, something around that. Don't harass me for not being exact there. So I'm just going to zoom in. I've never fished whatever I'm about to zoom in on, so this is all from scratch, like I said. Alright, so now we got to a level on the map where all of the elements are going to start showing up because, well, the map can load that without crashing. So I'm going to zoom in. These various colored lines are designated trout waters. So you have green, blue, and a dark blue. And actually, these colors are different class trout streams. So there's three different classes. There's Class A, Class B, Class C, or 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure what they call it now. But green is theoretically, or based on surveys, going to be your highest productivity waters, or your best trout fishing. Your light blue is going to be kind of your middle, and then your dark blue is going to be probably less productive water. Having said that, I've caught probably more fish out of the light blue than I have out of green, so don't let that fool you. So I'm going to zoom in, and let's see, let's get two examples. So first I'm going to start off with an easy example. Well, I should say an example of easier access. What this dark green indicates on this mapping tool is DNR lands, so DNR owned lands. So anywhere in this area you can walk around. A lot of these areas have public hunting too, but that's a totally different story, and I know nothing about hunting. So that's someone else's job to explain. But here we have a stream that runs through this DNR owned land. If you don't know what something indicates on the map, or if you forget, you can use this identify tool. It's really handy, and then you just click and drag over what you want to identify, and then up here on the left it just pops up with what you essentially laid your identify tool over. So we have, again, like I said, DNR owned property, which is the dark green. You have Trout waters, which is the stream, and then I went over this parking area, and then there's like city, town, etc., etc. I want to fish this Rem Milathon Creek. Didn't pronounce it right, but that's whatever. So what I'm going to do is, now that I see that this is public land and I can go out there, walk around, I can fish, what I'm going to do is go over to my Google Maps and confirm that it is accessible. So I'm going to zoom out and just try to get an idea, because like I said, I randomly zoomed in on this. I don't really know where this is, so I'm going to look for a nearby town or something, which will give me a way to identify where this actually is. Also, I go a lot off roads. Okay, so that's too far north. Okay, here we are. We're down here. We need to be down here. Here we go, here we go. So you kind of just go back and forth. And then you find the location that you found on the application tool on Google Maps. So Century Farm Road. Century Farm Road. Let's zoom back in here. And then a bit north on 80 is where, so then just kind of narrowing in, we have Walsh Lane. So then just south of Walsh Lane, here we go. So somewhere in this region. So you wouldn't be able to find this via just Google Maps unless you just happen to stumble upon it. So it's right in this area. We know there's a parking lot somewhere in there. So I'm going to switch over to the satellite imagery. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay. So this looks like the parking lot. Let me zoom in on it. Okay, so that's the parking lot. Let me go back just to kind of cross-reference. So this parking lot in the Millangton Creek kind of fishery area corresponds to this right here. And then here's your stream. Based on this looks like a pretty small stream, but it is designated trout water and it's green, so must be at least somewhat decent fishing. So earlier when I said this is easy fishing to access, kind of what I meant by that is that this is a big public chunk of land, so anywhere in here you can walk around. There's probably public hunting, but again, that's another subject. And then it even has a parking lot off the road that you can park at and use to access. What's also really nice about kind of the second big feature of Google Maps and why I use it is that if I'm ever unsure about the location or the specific like parking situation, I can go to the street view and look at the street kind of from a first person point of view and look at here. This is like a beautiful, wow, this is just like a beautiful area in general, first off. And then perfect little parking lot. You zoom in, there's a sign that says the creek fishery area. Over here, it's telling you about regulations, what sort of activities are allowed in the DNR property, probably hunting, trapping maybe, etc., etc. There's probably a sign, one of these signs that has fishing regulations, although you probably want to check your book, your fishing flyer book, because that's going to be more up to date than sometimes these signs are, in my experience. So this is a great place. So the third, here, let me just zoom out of here back to a good sort of map. Okay, so the last thing I would do in Google Maps, this looks like a great place to fish. I'm going to just lay down a waypoint, just click there, and then just go into the coordinates, click on the coordinates, and then up on your left will pop up the coordinates, and I can just click save. If I was signed into my Google account, which you should do, I can just save it as a place, and then when I go, I get in the car, I can go to my phone, my Google Maps application, and I can just click on that waypoint there, and I can get directions. I can just drive straight there. If you're not into using your phone, or you don't have the app or whatever, you don't have a smartphone, you can also look at the directions here. So I can just do directions and then just type in your starting location, and then it'll give you step-by-step directions. So that's an easy access point. I actually might save that for later, or I'll find it again or something, although that's a ways away from my home. So let's find another example that's a little less intuitive. I'm just going to stay along this same stream just for time's sake. And let me find something. So I'm looking for easement property. And that's a little different than just public land, DNR-owned land, in terms of accessing. So here's a good example. So this is just, what is this, downstream? Well, it's the same creek. I don't know if it's upstream or downstream. I'm guessing down based on the way the branching is and stuff. So what this is on the map, and if you wanted to identify this, if you didn't know what this hashing is, you just take that identify tool, and again, so here it's showing it's a DNR easement. What an easement is it's private land that's granted public access. Generally, and in the case of trout streams, it's due to the county or the state or something coming in and doing some restoration work, and then the landowner agrees to set up an easement in return for this restoration work being done. And so then it's private land with public access along the banks of the stream. So same stream, just south of where we just were. Okay, so this is actually what we're looking for, this point right here. Yep, so it comes out in this nice elbow. It's kind of squiggly water. Generally is better trout fishing water, just FYI. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to satellite. I'm going to look at this. And for this example, since we don't have a designated parking lot, we're looking for parkable, essentially street parking. This is kind of like a highway, but we want to make sure that we can park safely and legally on the side of the road here, and be able to drop into the fishing area without crossing somebody's land, etc., etc. So this looks, it's a pretty nice wide road, so I'm guessing there's going to be parkable area. What I'm going to do is, again, so it looks like fishable water. It's kind of wide. Again, there's a lot of bends and stuff, so it's probably some decent trout water. There are a lot of trees, so that might be something you want to consider. Like if you'd rather be fishing in an open, with a big back cast, if you're a fly fisherman, something like up here might be better, although I don't think that's public access. But here, you're going to be having trees in your back cast. So I'm going to take the little guy, street view guy, put him down, so I can see if there is good parking here. So I'm showing right away, and actually I'm going to zoom out again. I apologize for this. It looks like there has been this little driveway. It's not really a driveway, but either this is like a farmer's access point to his field right here, or this is actually, it was just made for fishermen, which would be really nice. to park and you're well off the road. But if you're unsure, you can pull and just make sure you're far enough off the road. You don't want to fall in the ditch, but just make sure you're not going to get hit. Of course, you can take the street view guy over here. I do this a lot where I'll take it right here and I'll check out the stream. This actually looks like a beautiful stream. From here, I can even see the water is actually pretty clear. If you zoom in here, this is a sign. You obviously can't read it, but this sign says something along the lines of public fishing access. It might say something about DNR easement or something. But we can come up here if you didn't want to park on that other side. You probably could park here. Yeah, I mean, unless there's a really steep ditch, like you can just pull over here, put your right tires over in the grass. Just be smart about it. And then you walk up to the side of the stream, and you have access to the stream, and you're fishing, and you're catching fish. So, yeah, that's kind of the easement example. Again, I would zoom out. This looks like a pretty viable place to park and fish. And so you go back to maps. You don't have to. I would place a little beacon down here. Sometimes I place a ton of beacons, so then when I get out there, I don't know, if I place a beacon here, am I supposed to go downstream for public access or up? There are the signs there that tell you, but they're not always there. So in that case, I would put a beacon here, click into here, label it, and that's kind of save your phone, or you get directions for it. And then I would also go up here. You can see that this easement goes around this bend, around this elbow, and kind of up a little bit, or down a little bit rather. So you could like place another beacon right about here. And then that way you zoom out, and if you're looking at this on your phone and you see a beacon here, if you hadn't put another beacon, you might be like, oh, do I go down? Do I go up? So if you put that second beacon in, you know that this is kind of your range of where you can fish. So on Melancton Creek, actually looks really good, but there's thousands of miles of streams. Don't go to this one. I mean, it might be good fishing, but do your own research. I mean, just look at this. Like, I barely scratched the surface of just that creek, not to mention, these thousands of miles of, it's just insane. It's totally mind-blowing. Anyways, yeah, so like I said earlier, if you have other questions, let me know in the comments. Like this video if you did indeed like it. Subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you watching, giving feedback, and yeah, let me know what you think, and hopefully you get out there and this video helps you find some new opportunities in the Wisconsin trout fishing or fishing scene.